I didn't always start off with real estate. I went to university and I studied banking and finance. Wow. And I was actually a stockbroker. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just know I wanted to do something.
Leon Lyon, founder and CEO of Lyon Ventures, a realtor turned real estate developer. He's a veteran entrepreneur, business expert, coach. He provides you with the training, tools, coaching, and encouragement to start or grow your business to be able to share your solution to the world. As a property investor, he invests in the best properties to achieve capital growth or passive income.
Why would I do the things that they tell me to do when I don't want to be like them? I want to be something different, right? I was truly blessed. I've always kind of been a critical thinker. I would see guys and say, well, if he can do it, I can do it. If he has this team, I can have this team. And that's kind of where I learned how to move. Now, to me, that's common sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do what other successful people do.
You see, you're making some dynamic statements.
When you play sports and you learn that everybody has a position to play, right? Then you learn how to formulate a winning team. They don't have to be individually be the best. They just have to be the best together.
His impeccable real estate investment skill attract global attention. He looked to invite and form strategic partnerships with entrepreneurs as an active advisor or angel investor, which allows a global network opportunity. Leon Lyon has a forward-thinking mind on what's the next big opportunity in business. He accurately recognizes trends and pattern early to help others understand how to shift and impact markets and customer behavior. Whether it's emerging real estate opportunities, NFTs, crypto investing, or import-export of specific products, Leon Lyon understands how to recognize and bring opportunities to the forefront. Most recently, he sits as an advisor for the Cardano's Crew project, which is a new play-to-earn crypto game.
How did you break through the storm, bro?
I have good mentors to learn from.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have one mentor who just gives me everything. I have many mentors that I learn a lot of things from. And then I incorporate that into myself.
We're going to bring you the best content in real estate. Welcome to Guest Parking. Your host, Osarigan Maxwell. Another one coming. Now, I've got someone spectacular, a colossal. Yeah, before I introduce him to you, I would like to talk about this building. We are in Masingita Towers in Sandton. Masingita Tower is one of the finest buildings in Sandton, Johannesburg, South Africa. It's built on a 10,300 square meters development. It's got 2 wing towers, one 12th floor levels, the other one 15 levels. Masingita is one of the most iconic buildings in Sandton, and I want to give a shout out to the developer, the chairman, Masingita Group, Mike Nkuma. Back to my guest. His name is Leon Lyon, one of the UK finest property developer, entrepreneur, and property investor. Welcome to Guest Parking.
Man, what an introduction, my brother. Yo.
Yeah, man.
I'm so proud of you, bro.
Yeah, bro, man.
Yo,
Nice to see you
I had to
again.
come.
Welcome to Africa,
Listen,
brother.
I had to come because I see all the moves you've been making.
Yeah,
obviously, we go back years.
Yeah,
and I
for
see
real,
all the
man.
moves you've been
For
making,
real,
man.
bro.
And I just want to say, yo, listen, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I
and
got that.
I don't do social media.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
But
I know.
I want to support you.
Thanks,
you know,
brother.
and that's what we gotta do. We gotta, you know what I mean? Each one teach one. We gotta be our brother's keeper out here.
Yeah,
And
I got
I'm
you.
just so proud of you, man. I love what you're doing.
Thank
and anything
you,
I can
brother
do to
Lee.
support you, I'm here.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I want to start with this. I've
Yeah.
seen some of your other shows.
Yeah.
Listen, bro. We're bros.
Yeah,
I,
for real.
I don't want to do some old stuffy talking. No, listen. My only way of doing this podcast is if we're gonna do it like some homies, some bros.
No, you my homie,
who
brother
we're gonna
Lee.
be talking. We'll talk business.
Yeah.
We'll talk about life. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
We'll talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
educating,
Yeah,
and
for
I
real.
want to learn some things because I got some questions, and we always talk over some yak. All right,
Absolutely.
some cognac.
Absolutely.
So I passed on a cigar. So I need some cognac, like we usually talk. So if they got something back there for us, we can relax and then we could talk like we usually
No,
talk
that's
when
fine,
we meet up.
man.
Because
I'm
sometimes
gonna just take a little bit of a Red Bull, brother.
okay, yeah, I need some. Ha ha. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for you.
I got you, bro.
I want your people to see and understand
Thank you so much, man.
not just the professional man, but the man I know, the friend,
Yeah.
the person who I confide in,
Yeah.
the person who is a mentor to me. We're in a lot of aspects, we help each other out. And against
good,
this, you got your yak. I want to give you a toast,
Yeah, toast,
to
brother.
your show, to success, and
Thanks, success, brother.
many, many more. You
Yeah.
know? We're not gonna shout out who this is good, but once they start sponsoring you, you shout these guys out because they should. You need to have a lot of sponsors.
No,
right
I
now.
got you.
know
I
what I
got
mean?
you, man.
That's good.
You just freaking me out, bro.
Yeah, you know, because that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So what's up, man?
Welcome to Africa.
Thank
bro.
you. I'm
No,
excited.
you've been in a lot of you've been doing a lot of real estate stuff, man.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes.
Development,
Yes.
buying, flipping. You've been doing helping communities and all that.
Yeah. Communities, all kinds of things. Entrepreneur,
Entrepreneur.
investing. All
No,
kinds
man.
of
You
stuff,
see,
know?
when sometimes when I see what you do, man, I get extremely motivated, bro. How did you get to this point, man? What's your motivation, brother?
Well, I have to go back. I have to tell you, like I'm here because I, like a lot of us growing up,
Yeah.
we may not necessarily had grown up with a lot of advantages,
Yeah.
like a lot of people in certain communities. I was one of the blessed, right? Even though we struggled growing up, I was always protected. I'm not going to be on here saying, yeah, I used to be a street kid and an ex-drug dealer or this or that. I was always a bright kid.
Yeah.
And because my community back then, when there was community, even though we stayed in rough community, even though there were gangs, even though there was a lot of poverty where we grew up, people always kind of took a liking to me and said, you know what? You don't need to be here when we're out here doing some of these things because you're a little bit different, you know? And I focused a lot into sports. I feel like I accredit sports to be learning how to be part of a team and then learning how to be a team and build a team, right? And that's one aspect of how I've kind of got into what I do. And then another aspect is wanting to figure out where my strengths and weaknesses are. I didn't always start off with real estate. I tell you, the funny thing is, I went to university and I studied banking and finance.
Oh, wow.
And I was actually a stockbroker. And that's how I got a full scholarship. I played American football and went to university in America, played football, and figured out just kind of, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just know I wanted to do something. And coming from a Caribbean background family, they've always said, hey, get your education, you know. And I was like, okay, trying to follow in their footsteps. But even though I knew I wanted more. And it always dawned on me, like, when you have people telling you to do certain things, but then you look at how they're living and who they are, why would I do the things that they tell me to do when I don't want to be like them? I want to be something different. Right? So that's what I always look to be. I would always look at, because I had a lot of people in my environment who were doing things that I didn't want to do because I wanted more out of life. But these same people were the only influence who I had. So I decided to say, okay, since all these people who are doing things that I don't want to do are telling me what to do, and I don't want to be like them, I'm going to do the opposite.
You know, something is coming to my mind, you know, like when you talk, basically I've got like this pop-up ideas on my head like a popcorn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the point is that you said something very, 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 very strategic. You said people want you to do things and you don't really want to be like them. So you decide to do something different.
Yes.
What was that?
Well, the first thing I did, because remember now, a lot of times, if we don't have a certain level of successful people around us, right? Then we don't know what to do. Like, we see it, but we don't really. So I was truly blessed. I've always kind of been a critical thinker.
Yeah.
I learned very early, I think from the age of 7 and 8, how to play chess.
Wow.
So if I didn't have mentors in my life, then what I started doing was looking into books and looking into magazines and looking on TV to say, you know what? I like what this guy is doing. Who is this guy? How is he successful?
Yeah.
So I started studying successful people. I mean, and I was obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I started studying successful people, not the people who were around me, because they weren't the success I wanted to achieve. I wanted more. So I started studying the people who, whether they look like me or not, because of my playing sports, you don't see color when you're on a team, right?
Absolutely.
So for me, I would see guys and say, well, if he can do it, I can do it. If he has this team, I can have this team. And that's kind of where I learned how to move. Because if I see somebody who's successful and he walks into a room and every day he wears yellow socks, but all my family wears black socks. Now, there must be something going on with some yellow socks.
Yeah.
So I understand. I know all my family is wearing black socks or people around me, and they haven't reached a certain level of life. Mm-hmm. He's wearing yellow socks. Maybe let me try wearing some yellow socks, right? Now, to me, that's common sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do what other successful people do. And listen, it may or may not work, but I know this doesn't work.
Yeah.
So let me try this.
Something else.
And that's kind of how I figured out what to do and how to do.
Wow. You know, Leon, I almost want to call you L, like I normally call you, bro.
Yeah.
You see, you're making some dynamic statements. And, you know, a lot of people probably don't know how to choose a mentor, bro. And I see these, there's a lot of guys, people want to see, man, this guy, I know you've probably introduced yourself, American football. Someone might just be thinking, man, he's got an American accent and he's doing well in the UK. Real estate investor, real estate broker, real estate developer. He's got properties that he's in charge of. You got staff. Okay, you're black.
Definitely.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Definitely.
You see, some of the experiences you talk about based on your backgrounds, these are typically African experience.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And now, I'll tell you about my story, for instance, just very little bit. My dad is an academician, and he wants all of us to go through that path. But I was different. I was like, man, okay, I did what I did in school or university because of him. When I broke out, I decided to do my own thing. You see, I love marketing. I love real estate. I don't want to talk how I got into real estate, but I just love it. But at the end of the day, you see, the ideology to look away from that nominal box that the whole kind of family orientation want to put you is a key, bro.
Yes.
Is the key.
Absolutely.
So the thing now is this. That intuition that you got,
Yes.
that thing that you got, how did you get it? Who put it in you?
Yes.
Is it genetic? I want to believe that there's somebody in the family that's got this drive. But if there's none, that means you must be a very unique person.
I wish I would say unique, but I truly believe we're affected by our experiences in life, right? One of the greatest and most powerful people I remember in my life was my grandmother.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, think about growing up in the UK as a Black woman, and she was a nurse. She bought this amazing house in an all-white neighborhood before anybody else was doing things like that. I mean,
that's audacious.
She stood up, and I'm gonna tell you one story that really rocked me to my core that I can always remember. I remember that she sent me, and I was going to an all-white school, right? And matter of fact, I say it was 9th primary school in Swindon, England, right? And we was going to an all-white school. And I'm the only Black kid at this school, right? And, you know, they have recess where everybody goes out and play football.
Yeah.
But at this particular occasion, there was no football, right? So we're all out there and everyone's looking for football. Like, oh, no, there's no football. And then all of a sudden, somebody kicked me in my ass. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And then the guy said, one of the kids said, we found the football. And I'm like, huh?
Yes.
And I looked at the guy, and then somebody kicked me in my ass again. And I'm like, what the fuck? Right? And then all of a sudden, all of the kids around me, while I'm at this primary middle school, started kicking me. Like I'm the football.
Whoa.
At school.
Well, that's pathetic.
Right? So then I turned around and I saw this other kid about to kick me. And when I turned around, I swung as hard as I could before he got me, and I punched him in his face. And when I punched him in his face, the kid fell down and blood was everywhere. Now, mind you, this is elementary school, right? Blood is everywhere. And all of the kids is running around saying, fight, fight. Now, remember this. There were teachers out there that was watching me get kicked. Yeah. Nobody said anything. And one of the teachers came over there. I remember his name, but I won't say it. It was a long time ago, and I'm older now. Right? And he looked at this kid, and he said, what did you do? Why did you do that? You know, you ain't gonna get you for this. And he said, get that fucking nigga. And he said, get him. And all of the student kids started chasing me to grab me, to take me to the headmaster, right? And I took off running. And I was so scared, and I ran all the way home. And I'll never forget that moment, right? And when I ran home, and it would just so happen that my granny was there, because at the time I was living with my grandmother. And when I ran in, she was like, what are you doing home from school? But this is in a thick Jamaican accent, right? Yeah. And she said, you know,
Wagwan accent.
Yo, what are you doing home from school? And I told her, I'm scared, I'm crying, I'm telling her what's happening. And I was like, Granny, I can't go back, I can't. She says, hold on, wait there. Sit in the living room. And she sat in the living room, and my granny went and made some phone calls, right? And the next thing I know, my granny walks out, and she has a stick. Mm-hmm. And she says, come. I said, where are we going? She says, we're going back to the school. I said, no, Granny, I can't go back to the school. And she says, no, we're going back to the school, right? So me and my granny walked back to the school. Whoa. And when we walked into the school, my uncles was there, 2 of them.
She already called them.
Yeah, and they met us at the school. And as we walked into the office, the teacher who said, get that nigga was there, mm-hmm. and the headmaster. And all they saw was me walking first. Yeah. And they jumped up. And they said, what the, you know what I mean? And then they saw my granny. And then they saw my uncles. And then my granny came. And then as soon, the guy said, do you know what he did? And then my granny took the stick and whacked the desk with the stick. And long story short, because I have so many stories, long story short, she told them that if anything ever was to happen like this again, if anybody was to ever harm me, if anybody was ever to touch me, if anybody was to ever do anything, Now, this is the first time I've ever seen not just my grandmother, but any black person belittle, berate, and put some people who were in positions of power in their place. And that was my first, like, my grandmother was so little, but her spirit was so strong and powerful.
Wow.
I was like, wow. And it gave me a lion's confidence to be like, okay, it's not the size of the bite, it's the bite in the size of the person. It's the person who determines who they are and what they are and how the energy they control, you know? And I feel like that is what gave me a confidence throughout my life. It didn't give me knowledge, but it gave me confidence to think and be different and be strong. So I think that's a roundabout way of answering your question, like what made me think to be okay when everybody's going left, I go right, and be okay and confident enough to do it. And I think that power comes from the strength that my grandmother instilled in me growing up.
You know, that's beautiful, bro. That's beautiful. You probably must have gone through. You know, sometimes when we go through such situations,
yes,
we don't know how much it's going to take us in life.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we don't know how much it's going to take us in life.
Absolutely.
Your story is very touching, bro. I won't lie. But you know, being bullied in school, like at the elementary level, could possibly take a toll on you in life.
Yes.
Negatively, bro.
Yes.
Negatively. And you see, and not being accepted in that scenario by other kids and making you feel inferior, it's very, very, very dangerous. But yeah, you stood your ground. Thank God for your grandmom. Thank God for your grandmom. And she's still alive.
No. She passed away last year at 100.
100?
Yeah. Or was she 101? No, I think she was 100. Yeah. She lived to 100 years.
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
She had a beautiful life.
Oh, man, so rest in peace, bro. A blessed memory. Yeah. I know I had a grandmother that's like 102 years old before she passed. My dad is 95, bro.
Long life, good blood.
I'm telling you, brother. So I dealt with a lot of old folks.
Yes.
You know, but basically, there's something that peak from your conversation, your sporting activity, which create that team structure for you, the team orientation for you.
Yes.
You know, it helps. It helps.
Yes.
And you transcend that into business. You transcend that into sales. You transcend that into marketing.
Uh-huh.
Is that why you're successful in real estate? Part of it, right?
Definitely. I feel like...
Do that build your strategy, sorry?
Yes.
Does that build your strategy in real estate?
I would say sports didn't build my strategy, but sports helped me build a team. Yeah? Because what you realize that, okay, if we jump ahead and get into real estate, all right, there's certain elements of real estate, depending on the level that you reach, that you have to have certain people in your corner, right? Yeah. I.e., you need a solicitor who is competent, understands what it is that you want to achieve, knows how to structure the deals legally, and can be efficient in getting things done fast, right? Or effectively, right? You may need a real estate agent who knows, and multiple real estate agents, whether they're commercial, whether they're residential, whether they're refurbished, or whether they're auction, somebody who can help you find the deals and know the type of deals that you're looking for, right? You may need a construction team or a builder, somebody who can evaluate the project let you know, I've had projects that I thought were amazing, and then my builder did a walkthrough, and he said, "Hey, listen, the structural damage here on this roof or on the floor, or there's certain things that my untrained eye doesn't know, but I trust my team. I get the best, So what happens is, in any team, you've seen these all-star teams who they have all these all-star players and they can't win a game, right? Because they don't know how to play their position.
Yeah.
But when you play sports and you learn that everybody has a position to play, right? Then you learn how to formulate a winning team, right?
Okay.
And that's what sports taught me. It taught me how to assess people, understand what I need to do. I need, if I use American football analogy, I need a fast runner back. I need a good quarterback. I need a good front line. I need a good tight end. I need this type of wide receiver. I need certain type of people. They don't have to be individually be the best. They just have to be the best together, because that's what makes us win, right? So that's what sports taught me. How to build and formulate a team, but it didn't give me a strategy. So I know these things yet.
Yeah.
But a strategy is like having. You can have the great team, but if you don't have good plays, you still don't win, right?
Yeah,
you can have the best players, but you need the strategy. You need the plays.
Yeah. Okay. In comparison, in terms of the United Kingdom market, real estate market. And I don't want to say comparison to the African market because they're quite similar.
Yes.
But the thing is that, and I know there are certain individuals, race, that dominate the UK market.
Yes.
How did you break through the storm, bro?
Let me tell you. Let's rephrase that. Breaking still through the storm, right? Because I don't think I've broken through the storm, right? Man. But I'm breaking, and Jah willing that I will reach where we need to go. But it's a never-ending journey, because what I do isn't for me. It's for my kids and their kids and their kids and their kids. Yeah. So all I'm doing is laying down the foundation for hopefully my future legacy to build on top of, right? So, and the thing that people need to really understand is that, do you know the population of Black people in the UK is only like 3-4%?
For real?
Google it, 100%. There are only 3-4% of the entire population that's Black. So when you talk about as a Black person breaking through the market, I mean, we're talking about a grain of sand.
Yeah, I think
trying to fight to the top.
I think my wife spoke about that.
Yeah.
She was in the UK at the time.
Yes.
Yeah, I think she said so.
Listen, I know, because I always do the market research, because as you know, as an entrepreneur, I need to know my audience. There are businesses that I've invested in, and before I invest in a business, I have to look at my target audience. And sometimes when you actually do proper due diligence, you'll realize that, okay, you can have a great product, but if you don't have the audience to move that product to, you're dead in the water before you start.
Yeah.
So this is how I know, because some of the products that I've been involved in or companies I invested in are catered towards Black people or Black heritage people or Caribbean or African people in the UK. And that's when I started seeing how small the market is. I mean, 3%, I think there may only be 3 million Black people in the UK. And then of those 3 million, Google it, fact check me. Okay, fact check me. 3 to 4 million of Black people in the UK. And then of that, how many are men, how many are women? How many are old, how many are kids?
Yeah.
So
and we still need to dissect it to immigrants, African Caribbeans, and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got you.
So so it's a journey, still breaking through, and
no, you're doing so well, bro.
Yeah, I'm blessed, man.
You're doing
I'm so
well.
excited, and
You're
and I have
doing
good
so well.
mentors to learn from.
Yeah, good.
Because what I do is I take, I want to go back to something that you said. Like I said, I don't want this to be like your other traditional podcast so much. I really
don't wanna
want
be too serious.
people to learn how to find this information. Yeah?
Yeah.
So one of the things you asked was, how do you find a good mentor?
Yeah.
Right? And a good mentor is like, it's like, say, I feel like people think that they can find everything they need in one person and just say, hey, look, you're my mentor. Tell me and teach me everything, right? But the first thing is you have to look within yourself to say, okay, what is it I want to achieve? Then after you figure out what it is you want to achieve, then you say, okay, how can I achieve these things, and who is the person or who are the people that have achieved what it is that I want to achieve? Now, with me, one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to learn how to speak better.
Yeah.
And like yourself, you know what I mean? I'm nowhere near as eloquent as you, and when it comes to public speaking, I'm very raw. But what I do is I find guys like you, and I take a piece and say, you know what? I love the way he communicates. So let me take a piece of that.
Thank you.
And then there may be another brother who, you know what? He has reached a certain level of organization that I love. How do you do that? So I learn how he organizes and structures his things. So I take a piece of that. Then I might find another brother or person who has an amazing way of finding deals. So then I take a piece of that, right? I don't necessarily have one mentor who just gives me everything. I have many mentors that I learn a lot of things from. And then I incorporate that into myself.
You see, I want to say something. Just because you said this right now, in terms of mentorship, you see, like, the chairman of Masingita Group,
Yes.
who's like the builder of this building, I met him once.
Wow.
He probably don't even recognize me. It was like 5-6 years ago, bro. And I was casually introduced, and we just walked past. Like, I was brought in by a colleague, then I was working with another firm. I was brought in by a colleague and telling me, okay, man, we need to market this building. He just casually introduced me to the guy, quite humble guy, Mike Nkuna. Probably he's going to be hearing this for the first time. And notice, you see, when I saw the guy, it was in the heat of, when I met the guy, it was in the heat of, I met him, he didn't meet me, you know what I mean? Because he's a big gun, bro. And those are the people I look at like mentors. In that time, I think it was like just after COVID or pre-COVID, I can't even remember. And the market was down, man. The whole buildings and the whole areas was empty, commercials, everybody working from home.
Yeah.
You barely get people to even rent properties, man, because that thing was freaking an issue at the time. So I met this guy. I admired him. I admire his humility. I admire his strength, bro. And I said, okay, fine. This guy, how did he do this? You know what I mean? How did he get to this point? But then I just decided to just read about him a little bit. Then I learned from that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I just learned from that. And not just him, other people. Now you can check out this building, man. This is a legacy, bro.
Yes.
This is a generational wealth. It takes a lion's heart to do something like this. And there could be a lot of people that can do this. They're just probably going to procrastinate.
Correct.
You know
Correct.
what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, you see, I know you're a very strong man. I know you're a go-getter. As an entrepreneur, do we ever get satisfied as an entrepreneur in reaching or meeting our goals? Do we ever get satisfied?
No.
Do you ever get satisfied?
No.
Why though?
But I think it's because as an entrepreneur, right, you have to be selfless. And let me explain what I mean. Right? I don't do what I do for me. I do what I do for my future generation. Because everything I'm thinking about is always generational wealth and legacy. Yeah? So if I plan on building 100-story skyscraper, hypothetically, right? What I do is I'm going to build it as much and as high as I can go. Enough to say, you know what? If I only get the 54 laws, I've instilled enough entrepreneurial and spirit and fight and knowledge into my kids to build the rest of the 50 floors.
Yeah.
And then if I build the whole thing before I pass, I start on another one and build it. The thing is that I don't think we're ever satisfied because what we do it for isn't for ourselves. We do it for legacy. You know, so when you know you're doing it for your future, how do you ever be satisfied with what you've achieved today? I want, I want one day when we look back 100 years for, great granddaddy Osa and great granddaddy Lion, started this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got you.
Now, maybe, the Most High, when we're up there with the Most High, we can look down and say, all right, yeah, that's good. But I don't even think then we'll be satisfied. We'll be like, that's a start. Let's keep going.
Yeah, try.
Yeah.
Is there a risk involved to be taken?
Always. But this is the thing. And this is some of the things that...
Sorry, Leon.
Yeah.
You know why I'm asking this question? Because someone might be watching us and be like, I want to take this leap of faith. I want to do something like that. And
yes.
They're looking at you, man. Man, I admire this dude. I want to be like this dude. But the risk factor, the sacrifice.
Well, look, listen. There's no point in jumping into the ocean if you don't teach yourself to swim. All right? Of course it's risky. Especially if you jump into the water and you don't learn to swim. You're going to drown.
Drown, man.
Right? You have to give yourself the tools, right? And giving yourself the tools, part of giving yourself the tools is to retrain your brain. Now, I'm letting you know now, if you are in an environment and there's a lot of people in your life, whether it be family, friends, and they are not living the type of lifestyle or the type of life that you want to live, don't listen to them. And I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not saying don't listen to your mom or dad or anything else, but there is more out there, okay? So one of the first things I learned to do to retrain my brain, because what happens is you can be around so many people doing the wrong things that you think wrong is right. Yeah. And it's hard to do the right thing because everybody around you is telling you to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Right? So let me say this. So let me finish. So what I did, one of the first things that reprogrammed my brain, retrained my thinking, even though I was around everybody doing the wrong thing. And the one time I tried to take a leap of faith and do the right thing, and everybody else thought it was wrong, it didn't work. And everybody said, I told you. You need to be doing this. I've been there. I had done that. It doesn't work. Yeah. No, it didn't work for you. Doesn't mean it won't work for me. But you need to learn how to do it different from how they did it. Now, doing it different doesn't guarantee success, but it definitely does guarantee that you won't do what they did, which is fail, right? So you have to take the leap of faith to retrain your brain. So what I did, one of the first books, I'm never going to forget this book. I read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, I'm telling you now, the book is only about 150 pages, but the teachings in that book, my gosh. When I read it, I was like, it just something snapped, and I got it. And it completely erased everything else how I was trained by my environment, by my society, by my family, by my certain friends, by, you know what I mean? And he restructured my brain quick. And then once I learned that there was something else, and then he showed me how to think differently, I started focusing on this different way of thinking and looking for books and looking for mentors and looking for people who thought like this. Because I grew up and everybody in my life thought like this. And doesn't it make perfect sense? If all the people in your life and friends and family are like this and they're not successful and have not reached the level you want, but you read a guy who has reached a certain level of success and all the people who have do this, doesn't it logically say do this?
Yes.
But we don't. Why? I don't know.
You see, it's a program. It's a program.
Yeah.
Because the people around you program you to think the certain way. Mm-hmm. And it's like putting an ant or a fly in a bottle. And when you cover it with a lid, and the fly try to get out of the lid, when it hits an obstacle, it bounces, it flies down. So, but basically, after a while, when you remove the lid, the fly or the insect or whatever goes to that level and goes down. You know, that's why, I'm very, 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 very connected to my pastor. I listen to him a lot, Pastor Chris. There's a book he wrote. It's about the mind. When I read that book, I'll tell you a story. My dad used to tell us when we were growing up that do not envy someone in terms of his colleagues that are richer than him. You know what I mean? So don't envy those guys. You don't need to try to be like them because you don't know how to get their money. Maybe they steal it or something. Cut your coat according to your size. Bruh, when I got to varsity, there's something naturally, instinct. I always get to roll with good guys. Their parents are very rich. And I thought to myself one day, this guy keep telling me, cut my coat according to my size. What if the world is my size? Then I will make my coat the world, bro.
Yeah.
So, because I know my dad was a very honest man.
Yes.
He is very honest. And I found out that the knowledge he had at that time was what he had. I got to take it to the next level and to another level and to another level. So I decide to believe in the impossible. Because the book that I read about my pastor, The Power of the Mind, the first thing that got my attention was that the mind is a tool. You can use it, bro. I'll be like, man, so I can use my mind. I can use my mind. I can break out of that mediocrity.
Yes.
You get my point?
100%.
So, you see, the people around us, the siblings, they love you so much, they get scared when you make some move that they are not used to.
Yes.
That's why they try to stop you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's the people that love you most that try to stop, but they don't know that, you see, your
It's
heart.
fear projection, in my opinion.
Exactly.
They project their failures and their fear on you, right? And you have to learn how to not accept that. Let it bounce off.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you have to armor yourself.
Yeah.
Because that can be your biggest hindrance. Your non-belief that like you said with the fly, some people only try to jump and touch the sky. Well, that's only as high as you'll ever get. Some people will jump and try to touch the moon. Well, that's as high as you'll ever get. Some people will jump and go for the stars. Now, that's as high as you can ever get. But guess what? If you jump for the stars and you fall short, at least you still can get to the moon and you can still get to the sky. So don't allow people's limitations to affect you. Because you're supposed to jump for the star.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're going to get there, but you're trying. And you'll always jump higher than somebody who's not even trying. Yeah?
I'll tell you a story. Bro. There was an entrepreneur lady that was doing her best to become who she want to be.
Yeah.
And she couldn't pay her rent. And our office was shut down, was locked. And I was walking into the office, just parked my car, just walking into the office. Then one of my staff was like, man, I said, what's going on here? They bought this thing. And staff was saying that, man, look her up, she couldn't pay the rent, blah, 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 blah. I felt bad. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I know her. We talk. And the staff was like, this was way back. The staff was like trying to make like a little bit of jest of the situation. I turned and looked at the staff. It was like almost 6 years ago, and I turned and looked at the staff. I said, that person is an entrepreneur. And it takes a strong heart to start that kind of a thing. And you don't salary. Have you ever created a business before? Shut up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I'm an entrepreneur. I know exactly what that person is going through.
Yes. The struggle is real, but yeah.
You paid yourself last.
Yeah.
You are the last person that takes the last bunch of the stick or whatever.
Yeah.
So the risk is there.
Yes.
The love is there. Mm-hmm. And the tenacity is there. Yeah. And if you as an entrepreneur break through or breaking through, because as you're breaking through, you see there's another level of challenge that you need to get into. Yes. How do you pull yourself up?
That's a good question. I think I know it's self-belief. It's believing in yourself. See, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe that you can be successful and you can fight your way through, then you wouldn't even do it, you know? Or if you don't truly believe, you'll quit. Mm-hmm. But for me, I know what it means to not have no fallback plan. Either you know, when 50 said get rich or die trying, it's a real thing. As an entrepreneur, it's be successful or die. You know what I mean?
I didn't think so.
Because, brother, like the things we go through as an entrepreneur is unbelievable. And what people see is they see the success and they think you got there easy. They don't know the times when I've had my car repossessed. I've had a bankrupt. I've had almost foreclosure on houses, or almost had rent taken from me. Had all kinds of going through. So I've been through so many things in my life, right? But I never stopped because my mission, my purpose, was never to make money. It's to be successful and to build a legacy. See, when you understand your purpose, then it gives you your drive. And when you have your drive, you have a mission. And I'm laser Z focused. So all these things that's happening around me, the chatter, the people who say, this guy, I don't care. I'm focused here and I'm on a mission. And when you finally do get to that first level, you're like, okay. And now people look at you as successful. Because I have peers who look at me as success. Mm-hmm. But funny enough, the people who I look at for as mentorship and success are way above me. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So I don't judge myself by my surroundings. I judge myself by where I plan on being. I'm not satisfied with here.
Absolutely.
I'm satisfied.
Insatiable.
I'm going for there, right? And this stops a lot of people. I think a lot of people have ego. As long as they're doing better than the people around them, they're okay.
They're okay.
You know what I mean? But when you have guys like us who have a mission and have a purpose, why would we be satisfied with this? This is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this is what they want you to do. They want you to keep a certain level of mediocrity, keep you down to a certain. No, we want to be here, brother. And yeah, I think believing in yourself and having a mission and purpose is important.
Leon Lion, thank you so much, bro.
My bro.
No, you see,
My bro. Hey, listen, man. We gotta keep drinking. We need some more of this good stuff. Whoever this is, they need to be giving you some money. They need to be sponsoring you.
Oh,
That's why we're not saying your name, but soon enough, when you get your 1 million subscribers,
we're gonna get there,
they're
bro.
gonna be banging down your door.
We're gonna get there. Don't stress about that. Don't stress. We're gonna get there. We're taking it easy.
Absolutely.
And radically and strategically. You know, I'm so blessed to have you here, man.
I'm blessed for you to be my brother and the mentor.
You're my mentor too, bro.
We learn from each other.
Yeah, for real, brother.
God bless.
You see, you be like, man. I was like, man, when you come to South Africa, I'm gonna host you. So, bro, don't worry, I'm coming. Until I saw you at the airport, yes, I'll be like, man, yo, for real. Man, we've been brothers for years, bro. Absolutely. And I really, really appreciate your friendship. You see, that's the thing. You got to choose your circle. You got to choose your circle. You got to choose your friends. Absolutely. Because you got to choose people that have the same dreams with you. You know, one thing that I know about a couple of friendship or a couple of guys is that that energy sometimes isn't there. You're scared to tell your friend your dream. Yes. Like, okay, this guy. And it still boils down to the fact that the right people you need around you. Now, you're based in the UK, you're in Africa, and would you like to invest in Africa? Because one of my job to make sure you come to South Africa often. South Africa is a beautiful country, bro.
Absolutely.
Nice weather.
I've come to really appreciate it.
Yeah, nice weather, one of the best weather in the world. Our winters, basically, you can actually even swim in winter compared to like Canadian winter, Russian winter, or even the UK winter. I know UK weather is kind of crazy. I mean, but in South Africa, it's beautiful, man. I want you to invest in this country, brother. Absolutely. It's part of my job. I'm a real estate practitioner. So I want you to look at buying properties, developing properties, which I know it's in our ball plan.
Absolutely.
You get my point? But there's someone in the UK or in America, somewhere in New York, Atlanta, Texas, or Chicago, watching us and saying, man, South Africa is a forest. South Africa, they got too many animals there. But you here now, have you ever seen any, apart from the fact that you went to the safari, have you ever seen any lion on the street? No. Africa is beautiful.
And I don't want, remember UK is a little different because most of the people there in the UK, especially if I talk from a black perspective, are either from Africa or somewhere in the Caribbean. Yeah. That's the whole makeup of the whole of black people in the UK. And everybody has, we know South Africa is a thriving, amazing economy, but also you have to know that the media, that's what they do. They don't never report good, do they? No. They like the drama, so they always report negative things. Yeah. So there are things in South Africa that had a lot of bad press, negative connotation, with all of the things that was happening. And it really did put a bad taste because South Africa's always been the darling of the world. We around the world stood up for South Africa with apartheid. Now, of course, I don't want to get into the politics of what happened here, but yeah, it can be scary. When people hear about South Africa, they hear the good, but on the media, they always hear the bad. So it's voices like you who have to put out there that, look, what you think isn't it. Like, look, I've been in Sandtown here at Mansika Towers, which is an amazing building. I love everything about the architecture of it, the layout of it. It's amazing. The city of Sandtown, all I can do is compare it to London. Like literally, I can't even say outskirts. Literally, London is what I have to compare Sandtown to, or certain parts of London. Anyway, not the whole of London, but parts of London, and I'm amazed. And I must admit, I wasn't expecting this. I'm not saying I was expecting, something like a bush or animals or some shit like that, bro, because I know better. But the level of how it's organized, how beautiful it is, how modern it is, how the architecture is, how the people are, I mean, I'm blown away.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And yo, brother, you gotta be the voice for especially Sandtown. You're the king of Sandtown, baby. And, they don't call you the king of Sandtown for nothing. That's what I thought you was gonna call the podcast, the king of motherfucking Sandtown. Hold up, can I cuss on here? Well, I did. Shit, fuck it. You know what I mean? Because this is how we talk. Ordinarily, you see all this shit, all the suit and tie. No, man. We sit back, we curse, we laugh, we cuss each other out, we say all kinds of. This is how we talk normally. But I'm not going to bring you out of character. I'm going to sit up because you my bro. This is the king of Sandtown. And, brother, you have showed me amazing hospitality. Sandtown, whoever the mayor or whoever is, should be letting you know that, hey, they should support you and what you're doing here. Because you're putting real estate on the map.
Yeah.
And me as an investor and partners of mine as well, like I've been videoing, I've been showing, I have a few questions and a few things. I'm curious about how the real estate market actually works, especially from the financing side of it. Being a foreigner, how do we invest? Can we get mortgages? Are there credit? Are we able to get foreign mortgages? There's so many questions I have, which some I've already asked you, but maybe it may benefit some of these people who are foreigners looking to invest in South Africa, how we could do it, But yeah, hey, I love it.
No, the truth is foreigners do get mortgages from banks. So we're looking at about 80% to like 50% deposit. But apparently now there's a switch in the market in terms of rental projections. So for instance, the Reserve Bank, the interest rate has dropped. That's just substantially. And now that's going to give the rental market a boost. We've been having a lot of high demands in rentals and even in sales. Yes. So there's a shift in the market at the moment because, first of all, let's talk about Cape Town. There's saturated folks in Cape Town. And the rental market, the rental prices have gone up. So a lot of guys that work from home, tech guys that can work from anywhere, drifting or relocating or migrating to Joburg.
Yeah.
Now, Joburg market is feeling the heat. You know what I mean? And these are good. These migrations are good for the market.
Yes.
People are buying, people are renting. And in comparison to like early last year or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we've not been getting such a magnificent attention on rental and sales. So it would be the best time to buy. It would be the best time to invest. For foreign nationals, we have mortgage bond originators, like in America, in the UK, they call them mortgage. Here we call them bond originators or bond agents that can assist with that. A couple of guys. So they know how to place a foreigner in the right perspective to get the right bond required. You know what I mean? So it's a very beautiful market at the moment. It's coming up. It's coming up drastically. And the fact that the interest rate has dropped is a good thumbs up for the market.
Yes.
And for whoever is buying or a landlord who has a property to rent. Because that stuff, I almost say that shit. That stuff has been quite an issue.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? So if you coming into the scenery of investing, you're gonna make a lot of money.
Got it.
You're gonna make a lot of money.
So
and
look,
okay,
let me jump in real quick because I watch a lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of YouTube shows, and some of the things that what you just said. Some of the things talk about invest, but we never talk about how to invest. We say what we should do, but I know a lot of people at the end of it was like, well, how can I do it, right? And that's where I want to kind of bring, not changing how things are, but I want to make sure we touch on that, because if somebody's watching and say, okay, he just said that there's a great demand for rent. He just said there's a great demand for sales, but I don't have any money and I don't know how to do it, okay? And this is what I would do to invest. Now, one thing I'm going to tell people all the time, when people, the saying that where they say all the time, it takes money to make money, is true to a degree, but it's not. You don't have to have money. You have to have an amazing idea.
Yeah.
Like, for an example, if you have 100 pounds in your pocket or 1,000 pounds in your pocket, and I say, hey, listen, tell me how to make 1,000 pounds into 2,000 pounds tomorrow. Guaranteed. Do you know how to do it? 99.9% of the people would say no, because if that was the case, they would do it all the time, right? But if a guy has a guaranteed way, which nothing's really guaranteed, but just for this hypothetical scenario, if a guy has a guaranteed way to turn 1,000 pounds into 2,000 pounds the next day and shows, how many, do you know the line would be as long from here to Sandtown with people trying to give him 1,000 pounds to do it for them?
Yeah, absolutely.
You understand?
Yeah.
So in that scenario, it's easy to get the money when you have a plan. But when you don't have a plan, but you have the money, it's hard to do something with your money. Yeah? So this is why I tell people you have to equip yourself with the armor. You have to learn how to swim. You have to get the information. Right? Now, one of the key things you said, if I was here and I was younger or I didn't have any money and I want to know how to get into it, the first thing I would do, I would contact you. I would research the market. I would say, okay, for a hypothetical, I help me with this, a 2-bedroom, a 4-bedroom house for rent in a property in an area that may be close to a hospital or close to a factory or close to a high population area where there's a lot of professionals or people working, how much would this be to rent for a 4-bedroom house? Hypothetically, give me a number.
Okay, looking at a 4-bedroom house, probably looking at maybe about 3.5 million to like 4 million.
To rent, let's say to rent.
To rent, if you want to rent it, a 4-bedroom, look like 35,000 rands.
Okay.
To like 40,000 rands.
Okay.
In certain areas.
All right. So let's say 40,000 rand.
Yeah.
Right? To rent a house. Right? So now, what we could do is, and again, this is what I do in my business, because I have something called HMOs, which stands for houses of multiple occupancy.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, HMOs, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we do. And you go get licensed and set the house up and everything like that, and all bills is included. So I would rent a house I would look and say, okay, here's a house, 40,000 rand for a 4-bedroom, okay? And now, this house is within close proximity to a factory here, and a close proximity to a hospital here, and close proximity to schools. All this research and knowledge has cost me how much so far? Nothing. Because you told me, and everything else I got was from the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So then I say, okay, now I know this house would be in high demand because when you have factories, you have people who want to kind of stay close to the factory to work.
Yeah.
When you have hospitals, a lot of people do shift work, so they want to stay close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know this is a high demand place. And then what I would look for how much would a room cost me if I rented just the room, right? Now, I like nice things. When you have professionals who are working, they don't just want to live anywhere. They want something nice, yeah? Now, please forgive me. I have no clue about the market here. So some of the numbers could be off.
Yeah.
But for this argument's sake, yeah, don't take what I'm saying literally. Take the formula, take it, and apply it to what you know.
Yeah.
Yeah? So what I would do, I would go into that house. I would say, okay, if I got this house for 40,000 rand, I could potentially rent out each one of these rooms for 15,000 rand, right? All bills and utilities included, right? Now, 15,000 rand times 4 is 60,000 rand. Yeah? Now, again, I know there are other factors involved here, but for argument's sake, right? So now I'm saying 60,000 rand is potentially what we could make from renting a property that's 40,000 rand. So now we're looking at a profit of 20,000 rand. Now, again, I still haven't spent a penny, right? Still haven't spent a penny. All of this is market research and what we call due diligence. Yeah, that's a little fancy word I learned from you. All right, due diligence. Yeah. So, yeah, you say this. Oh, brother, we have to do our due diligence. He says this all the time. You understand? I'm the king of Santown, and I do my due diligence. Okay, bro. So you did your due diligence. All right? So after we do all that, right? Then, you remember when I said, it doesn't take money to make money. It takes a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now what we do is, to acquire this property, we need the first month's rent and we need a deposit.
Deposit, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now, this is when we put the package together and we go to guys like you who have the money but just don't have the time and say, listen, we have an amazing opportunity here. This is when you got to learn how to market yourself and sell yourself. At some point, if you keep fighting and pressing, somebody's going to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah? And you say, listen, Mr. King of Santown, I have this amazing opportunity here, right? What it is there's a property. It can yield you 30, 40% on your money. You can put a deposit down here. You could pay the first month's rent. I'm going to manage it, right? And what you're going to do is you'll make 15,000 income per month off a one-time investment. You pay the first month's deposit, which is 40. You pay the first month's rent, which is 40. And every month you're going to make 15,000 rand, right? Now remember, it makes 20,000 rand. Yeah. But you're taking 5,000 rand for yourself for your management fee, and then you're putting 15,000 rand in your investor's pocket. Now, if it cost him 80,000 and he's making 15,000 rand every month, we're talking about, what is this? Help me with the math here. So that's 30, 60, 90. In 6 months, he's made all his money back. Yeah. So in 6 months, he's made all his money. And the other 6 months is pure profit.
Absolutely.
And me, who hasn't spent a penny, is pocketing 5,000 rand every single month.
Yeah.
Now, is 5,000 rand a lot of money every month? Maybe not. But it didn't cost you anything. And that's deal number one. And then this guy comes to you and says, the King of Santan says, You did a good job, my boy. I tell you what, find me another. So then you do another. Then you do another. Again, how much money did you spend out your pocket? Hey, there's a crew back here. Let me hear you. How much money you spend?
Nothing.
Nothing.
You hear that?
Yeah.
You ain't spend nothing, bro. But you're making 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, and it builds up and it accumulates, right? And you keep building it. And as I told you, it doesn't take money to make money. It takes your plan. Yeah. And then you go get guys like you who got big money. And some of these guys behind the camera, they look like big money from the shit, from what I see. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted to say. When we say invest in Santown, I wanted to talk and focus on not just what we should do, but how to do it.
Don't touch that dial, man. Help your brother out, bro. Subscribe, like, and comment. We're going to bring you the best content in real estate. I've got Lion Inyes sitting with me. I'm going to bring you more exciting and smart people. The only way we can do this effectively is when you like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think. Send an email if you have a story to tell about real estate, your experiences. Just send me an email. Send us an email on guestparking@montig.group. Guestparking@montig.group. We've got a lot of story to tell you, or you got a lot of story to tell us. Just send us your story. And back to my brother, Lion. Again and
so
again.
Smooth, bro. That shit was so smooth.
Man, why you?
If you have a story to tell, make
you
sure,
crazy. Stop
make
that.
sure you subscribe to us. Yo, listen, they need to subscribe to you. Because, yo, you're the best out here, bro. You know what I mean? All jokes aside, I'm so proud of you, bro.
Leon,
you're doing your thing.
Leon.
But listen, I always talk. Hey, listen, my brother. Listen, when he's serious, he gets low, right? When he's serious. Listen, I don't like when you do that, Leon. You need to. Sometimes he chastises me like I'm a kid, bro. You know what I mean?
Leon,
but this is my brother.
Leon, you got your highs and your
one
lows,
thing let me tell you this. You know, iron sharpens iron. Yeah? If you can't be honest and real with your brother and let him know when he's doing right or when he's doing wrong.
Yeah.
Let him know when he did good or when he did bad. You know what I'm saying? It's all about love and respect. Now, there's ways to do it.
Yeah.
Now, there are maybe times when I may not necessarily agree with him.
Absolutely.
Right?
Sometimes.
But I'm never going to do it in a way, never in front of people. I'm always going to pull him to the side. While he's doing what he's doing, you know what I mean? Or the way a deal is structured, I may not necessarily agree, but we will always present a united front to whoever our competitors are or to whatever the business is structured. But when we come away from that, I say, bro, that was some bullshit.
You did that twice.
You
did that shit twice,
You need to
bro.
tighten up. Because the way you handle that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't right.
Yeah.
And then it's not criticizing, it's sharpening your brother.
Yeah.
Because we got to sharpen each other, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got to tell me when, hey, listen, bro, tighten up. You should be on time for this. Hey, bro, tighten up.
You know, we're both very confrontational.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
There's no room for deception.
But we always know that it's always out of love.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And it's always about you making me better.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Which I appreciate.
Yeah, thanks.
You know?
Bro.
So, yeah, brother.
Yeah, you too.
I'm with it.
Cool, man. Thanks for coming to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, King.
Took me a while to pull your ass in.
Yeah. I'm going to come again. You're going
to be, maybe
Much
the next podcast is going to be in London, don't worry.
Hey, awesome.
I'm going to be paying a visit.
Oh, it might be back here because I'm going to be coming here often.
Yeah, you're going to be coming. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Man, now, thank you guys for watching. This is Guest Parking. You may wonder why we're trying to make things a bit flexible. It's because real estate, you need a lot of flexibility to be able to confront your obstacles. Now, thank you for watching.